Alrighty, let's get into this. Another episode of Unscripted Reviews. They're talking about Avatar, Way of Water. I'm sorry, no, Avatar, Fire and Ash. I'm sorry, I can't tell the two apart. The joke. Get it? Because it's the same movie. No, okay. Jokes aside, though, yeah, it's another Avatar movie, the third one. We got one not 10 years later. We got one 2 years later. Way of Water came out in 2022, and now we got another one in 2025. Yeah? 5? That's 3 years. I can't count. Anyways, once again, James Cameron behind the wheel of the directing and writing. And, yeah, it's... What is there to say about these movies? The one thing that everyone says, and it's the one thing that always needs to be said, these movies are extremely gorgeous. Like, that's the one thing that you're able to pull from these kind of movies that, like, wow, this is actually where we are with CGI, not what, we usually see in a lot of movies because, it's a lot of overworked VFX artists getting on crunch time and getting forced to churn these things out like really fast. But these Avatar movies though, it's like buying a ticket is worth the price of admission. Like I mean how it looks is like worth the price of admission. Just like getting able to look at these amazing like visuals, like just the landscapes, the character designs, and like just everything feels so real. It's one of the few times where it's kind of like the CGI, it's kind of hard to know what's real and what's not real, sometimes. And some of these shots are just amazing. Stellar. Can't say the same about the story, though. Honestly, I don't really feel like there's a lot to talk about. It could be a short review because this is basically the Way of Water. And, I heard a lot about that when I went to go see it. And, I was trying to keep my mind open. I thought maybe just follow the same kind of format, but no. First part, second part of the movie is a little bit different. It's got some, new little, things happening with Spider, a couple things happening with the Colonel, and, the Fire and Ash lady. But yeah, I think the last half hour or 40 minutes is just basically Way of Water all over again. And I was quite taken aback by how copy and paste it actually is. Like, I thought, again, it was like I said, it was like the format of how the battles turn. No, it literally is almost like you couldn't even, if you took this movie, took Way of Water's ending and just kind of like, tried to ask which one's which. It'd be hard to tell which one's from which movie. It's pretty bad. And you gotta ask this question, because I asked the question. These like $400+ million movies, like the budgets and whatever, right? Like they're huge budgets, okay? And this is James Cameron's movie. It's not like a movie franchise from a different person. He's taking over. No, this is his baby, right? And I'm just like, why would you copy and paste your own work? It's like, is it easy? Like, there's gotta be a reason, like there's a reason for this. Like, there has to be, like, is it just faster that way? Is that what it is? Can you, like, reuse assets? Like, there's gotta be a reason. This is one of the few times where I can, like, think about from a movie, right? I'm like, wow, this is literally the other movie in the series. Without ifs and buts about it. It's not just that same DNA. Not like, oh, kind of the same thing. It's, like, literally the same strand of DNA. I've never seen a more one-to-one likeness before from two different movies in the same franchise. Like, I've never seen that in my life. And it's just, not gonna lie, that part is the only part that left kind of a sour taste in my mouth, because everything else I was pretty on board with, I like the Fire and Ash tribe. Again, I forgot what their tribe is called. I don't keep track of the tribe names, I just know the Na'vi people, right? I thought that whole thing was interesting, but when it really boils down to it, it's just Way of Water The plot, even without the last 40 minutes, like the whole plot, it feels like Way of Water, the same characters, and the Fire and Ash shit. It's kind of like a very small bit of the movie. It's like we literally visit their homeland like one time in the entire movie, and that's it. Everything else is like in the other locations that we've been to. It's like, how are you gonna call this movie Fire and Ash? And the people that are the Fire and Ash people, you know, like we visit their homeland like once, very very small. Don't understand their culture or anything. We have like one scene with that lady and the colonel. One scene with them where it kind of delves into like why are they like this? Why have they broken off from Ava? You know, like why are they the way they are? We get a very small glimpse of that, and that's it. And I'm like, you know, for the Way of Water, the whole movie's just like, you know, getting a whole new culture. You know, like learning about it and understanding how these Navi people like live their life, right? And this one's just not that. It's just like Way of Water. That's just the same. I'm just like, I just don't get it. You know, it's like I thought, you know, with the second movie and how it was done, and then James Cameron's like, oh yeah, next one's gonna be Fire and Ash. You know, and it's like I thought we were gonna, you know, delve more into each of these cultures and like see what makes them all different. But like this one just didn't do that. Very little did that. And again, it's not like I'm complaining. But at the end of the day, it's like, you know, my girlfriend didn't get to see Way of Water in 3D. She got to see it here, and she loves aquatic themes. And so she got to see this in 3D. And again, I'm not going to lie, it looks amazing. If you're going to see it, you have to see it in 3D. Like, it's kind of funny, almost like it's like he makes these movies so simple, but yet it's like you have to see it in the best way possible, like XD, IMAX, 3D, because that is where you're getting your money's worth. Because seeing it like just on the screen, it's just you are just like taking away a whole part of what makes these movies, I guess, worth going to. And it's kind of sickening. It's like I have to see it in that way, even though I don't feel like the story is really that good at all. There's a couple emotional stuff with like, you know, with Sully and his son. You know, a little bit of emotional stuff that I felt like really hit hard home. I don't know why it did, but it just did. There are stuff in here there are scenes in here with characters and plot that are good. And there's some kind of progression. And then it's just that ending. It's just Way of Water all over again. I'm just like, what? Why? You had, this is your story. And you don't do anything with it? Again, I don't know if like this one is almost like Way of Water like part 2, and like, you know, 2 and 3 are kind of like their own thing, and then 4 is gonna be like the third movie, if that makes sense. You know, like I don't know if that's what he's wanting to do. I don't know. Again, it's like, and it's just like it's hard because I didn't hate watching it. Like there's nothing to really hate. It's very long. You know, it definitely felt like it's runtime, but I will say, with how off the ending was, I had more fun watching this than Way of Water. Way of Water was more boring, I guess. The story and stuff felt a lot more cohesive. There's a lot of cuts in this movie where it goes like from one scene to another and just feels very abrupt. Like a lot of cuts in this movie. Way of Water, I watched it once when it came out, and from what I remember, there weren't that many of those kind of abrupt cuts, right? That's why I think maybe the story flowed a little bit better. But this one, oh my god, it's cut. That's right, we're just jumping everywhere. But again, if I had to say anything, right, the first one is still a classic. Again, not the most original story, but it was amazing for its time. Groundbreaking. Still a pretty good story too, you know? Second one was surprising, you know, after how many years? And now we got one 2 years later. I'm just kind of like, you know, it's like, you're gonna really make this a whole series? You gotta do more than this, man. You can't, like, I really feel like if the next one is the same shit, that's where it's gonna start dropping off for like people's interest, you know, because the whole thing about Way of Water, like that came out for 10 years. That's a big deal, right? We didn't really know it was gonna turn into a whole thing. Now it's just like three years later, and you're still doing the same thing. So it's kind of like, just gotta know like, where are you going with this? So Let's hope, the fourth one actually is a movie and not just like a companion piece to the other one. But again, I enjoyed watching it for what it was. I also thought it was very long. So, there's that. Also, my girlfriend got me this shirt, Smiling Friends. I'll probably do a review on this too, because I really love Smiling Friends a lot. The season that came out was Chef's Kiss. But yeah. Anyways, that is all for me. Yep, I'm done. Goodbye!